welcome everybody. This is the Geek and I, and we are Federation Friday. Good evening, everybody. How are you? How is the crew? Deb, how you doing?
Doing fine.
You're gonna have no issues today. You're not flying into some quasar where we won't be. We won't be getting the video.
No ionic interference this time.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on last week, but I've been on 3 shows this week and I had no problems. So,
all right. So
Actually,
we'll hold you to that.
I had no problems. Your audio wobbled for a second.
Well, it's nice being with you guys.
Always a pleasure.
What'd you do this week, Martin?
Nothing much. Back to work full time now after the shoulder operation, and tried to catch up on some overdue movie watching. Nothing fantastic. But
What'd you watch?
Well, it came to my attention that Connor has never actually seen The Godfather 1 or 2. As he said, I've seen most of it in different settings. So we actually sat and watched that. And then I got caught up with Anna Kendrick's new movie on Netflix. The
date
hour.
Yeah,
the dating game. Yeah,
it was pretty good. And this weekend, hopefully, we're going to tackle Transformers 1, which started streaming on Paramount Plus today. And if there's time on Sunday, we may go see Venom: Last Dance.
So you don't do Tulsa King or Yellowstone?
You know what? Because Laura and I have such different tastes in things, I kind of reserve those because we could watch those together. But my poor wife is always exhausted and falls asleep between 8:30 and 9:30 every night. So my DVR is now sending very threatening letters, and my watch list, every time I add something to my watch list, it's like, really? So yes, Tulsa King is on the short list because I'm hearing it's fantastic. And Penguin is another one we're gonna dive into.
Mm-hmm.
So
That
maybe
one's
Penguin.
really good.
Yeah, Penguin I might do first because I think that's only 9 episodes.
And Tulsa King actually, because it's on Paramount Plus, it releases at 3 a.m. So you don't have to wait until late in the afternoon or at night.
So it's ready to go.
Yeah, I usually watch it after breakfast.
That's what I do. I watch it while I'm eating breakfast.
Yeah, and there's only one left, so for season 2.
I hate these short seasons.
Yeah. It's like on one hand, I do like that they feel freer to kind of draw out a storyline. If they had 26 episodes to do one storyline, it might get a little, like, come on, tell the story already. But there's something like when you're just getting into it and you're like, oh, the season finale's next week. I feel kind of robbed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I think everything's built for streaming now. It's instant gratification. I think their TikTok seasons is the best way to put it. Nobody has more than 30 seconds of attention span. As you can tell, we had somebody in here for 30 seconds and they popped off, and now we're down to 0. And then you look at your analytics and you see that, we got 110 views last week, but they were all here for like 45 seconds. So I don't know if they're looking for something that hooks them in, or if they're just coming to see a costume malfunction or wardrobe malfunction or whatever it is. But I think
gotta pre-title every episode wardrobe malfunction dash Galileo 7. Wardrobe malfunction dash the Squire of Gotham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So quickies on this episode this week. What did you think?
I enjoyed it. Yet there was a couple of things that were definitely out of character, but we're still season 1, and I think they're kind of feeling their way. Again, this ship needs a really solid HR officer. For a quasi-military organization, there's absolutely no discipline in the ranks. Everyone just feels free to speak their mind to a superior officer and just basically get away with it.
Yeah.
And we get to see Kirk really dealing with the bureaucrat for the first time, which is always fun.
When we get to his part, I wanna ask, because he looks so familiar and I cannot place him. And I looked back through IMDb as to where I would know him from, but I didn't pick up on anything that stuck in my mind. Deb, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with Marty. It's a good episode. People were very spicy. Especially, against Spock, which was kind of uncalled for. But yeah, he did a couple of things that were kind of uncharacteristic, and of course, like Marty said, mouthing off to your superior. The hell.
It's like the ionization also caused people to get cranky.
Yeah.
With the exception of Scotty, who was like, I got a job to do, just leave me out of this.
He must have had some Romulan ale or something to.
Well, the
Because
school
he was
low
pretty
because
calm.
he was sipping it. So you can't be stranded here with that alcohol. I need something.
Yeah, some of the I don't know, there was some special effects I wasn't too impressed with, and the furry creatures, I don't even know if they ever had a name, but we only ever saw the back of it, and maybe a 2-second of them actually throwing something, and that was about it. They must have been the costume department must have been on a very slim budget.
I've seen pictures of the full creature monster, and I got to tell you, I do agree with them that leaving it in the shadows or in the fog was probably a good idea. I'm not saying it was bad, but it was very kind of almost lost in space level, kind of over the top thing. This is like one of the few humanoid species that we see that is different in height and stature. I mean, they're almost 9 feet tall, I think they're supposed to be. And we really only see one or two in the shadows. In fact, and there's a couple of shots that I noticed where they superimpose the fog. Like there's two different fogs. One's really thick down here, and then there's a lighter fog that comes up to about their forehead, where you can barely make out. Yeah, there you go. Actually, kind of looks like the guy who's dating Selena Gomez now, Benny Blanco.
I was thinking more of the lines of that. Who's that guy that was on Saturday Night Live? And what the heck is his name? Getting old sucks.
Hader?
Huh?
Bill Hader?
No. He was on Saturday Night Live. He was doing the Taco Bell commercials for a while.
He was doing the Taco Bell commercials. I have no idea. Oh,
yeah, I don't either.
Pete Davidson?
Pete Davidson, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely Lost in Space quality makeup and stuff. You know what? I'll give them credit. They took a swing, and you know what? They missed, but they did the best they could.
Well, I was reading that they cut the monster out because it was too horrific.
Horrific, comedic, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. They did alter some of the scenes for being too intense. Like the the original cut had them discussing, which this scene still cracks me up. They're talking about the guy who just died with the spear, like hanging up here in the middle. And originally you could see him with the spear sticking out of his back. And in the middle of the conversation, Spock just wiggles it and pulls it out. Which to this day just still cracks me up. And I guess they felt that was a little bit too much, because when he pulls that thing out too, the spear is about this long and at least 2/3 of it is covered in blood. So it must have gone straight through him.
So they went the blood route.
Yeah.
Wow. You wouldn't expect that from.
Yeah, and then I think they may have cut what actually happened to Giordano later, because all we see is the go over him. His clothes aren't ripped up. He doesn't look anything like the landing party that comes up later, who look like Pigpen with the stuff all over and the shirt ripped. So did this Tauren, for lack of a better word, hug him to death, or something even worse?
All right, let's see what we have here as far as this week. So we start off with a nice beauty shot of the Enterprise going into what is that? A pulsar?
Quasar.
Quasar. So
they used to make my television.
It was what?
They used to make televisions. Quasar.
Oh yeah, Quasar. Yep, I think we had one.
My first VCR was a Quasar.
And you couldn't watch anything because, I mean, it was the ionic pulses coming. Yeah. So they're going to Makis 3 with medical supplies. Do they ever say what's wrong on Makis 3?
Some kind of plague.
Plague in the New Paris colony.
So then you have this guy, and I thought this uniform was really cool. This is kind of like it's almost Enterprise-ish.
It is, minus the little cape.
Yeah. No capes.
Yeah. I have no idea what that cape is supposed to serve as, but yeah, this uniform is okay. It worked for me, minus the cape.
It's kind of Enterprise / season 3 or 4 of Babylon 5.
Mm-hmm. I could see that almost being an Enterprise dress uniform with the gold piping on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then this guy looks so familiar that I can't place him unless he just looks like somebody I'm thinking of. So they're loading. I guess the Seven are going into. This is their shuttlecraft, right? About to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And do we ever get anything like this in the originals that look like this, or is it like completely? Does it look really bad?
In the originals, it looks really bad. So they would start with a shot of the shuttlecraft from behind, and then the doors would open, and then you just see the shuttlecraft go forward and up, almost like it was on a clear stick or on clear filament being pulled up and out. But you never even saw it go through the doors. You'd see it approach the doors, get towards the door, and then we would cut back to the bridge. So I think this is a great shot. Also, the landing bay, when they would show it in the original, was kind of very brightly lit and empty. And I love the fact that they threw the Columbus down there in the corner.
Yeah, so the effects in this episode were pretty darn good. I don't know when you see the rug monster, why they wouldn't, animate something new for that. That's pretty neat. That's a nice shot, the way it flies from the bay.
When my kids were little, they used to think it was pooping out a shuttlecraft.
And then we have the 7 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And, you would think, I don't know what the budget was, but, I mean, put something else on the walls. Maybe some piping or...
No, all the control panels are at knee level. If you notice, everybody's in a seat. There are buttons down by knee level, which makes absolutely no sense.
Or to the side of them, like the sky and the gold. Latimer.
Yeah.
I mean, he has to fully turn around in his chair.
Yeah, he turns around and then he's doing
to push buttons or whatever. Yeah.
So, harkening back to a point, John, you brought up last week, the Yeoman Mears here, the part was originally written for Yeoman Rand, but she had been let go by the time filming on this had commenced.
Wow, really? Only not even halfway into the season?
She may show up in a later episode because of production order and air date order, and we're not going to get on that merry-go-round. But yeah, she was already out by this point, and the actress here was a last-minute replacement. I think they worked out good too, because there's no way her hair would have fit with that low ceiling in the shuttlecraft.
Yeah. And then later on, she does this like hop onto the floor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what was that? So do they actually fly into the quasar, or is it just there's interference, and then they kind of swerve off and magically land?
I think Boma explains it that the closer they got, the more it was pulling them in, because at one point Spock says stop forward motion, and Latimer turns around to the very easily accessible control panel behind him on the floor and does something. He says, we're still moving forward. And then Boma says the closer they got, the more they sped up, and there was no way for them to stop.
So they're being pulled directly into the heart of Murasaki 312. And nothing works on the Enterprise either, I'm guessing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Can I just observe how great Uhura was in this episode? Through the entire episode, Kirk is turning around, talking to Uhura through the whole episode. She's giving him the information. She's efficient. And I was like, at one point, I'm like, damn, this Uhura could be a first officer.
Yeah, she was.
Anything he asked, she had the information. She was updating him.
And that's her normal communications seat, right?
Yeah.
Right behind the chair.
Yep. But you know why that was done? Because Nichelle would never sit fully with her back to it. She always sat sideways with her legs crossed and her body turned. So when they were focusing on Kirk, she's off center of the command chair, showing off her legs.
Mm. And she does have two.
She does have two. Yep.
What is that? What is that word there? The effect has rendered our
Rendered hour. It's one word. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was some crappy captioning in this episode.
And I like that, their shuttle has gone missing. They're lost 7 crew members. So now we're going to have a cup of tea.
And all I keep thinking of this poor character, 4 years in the academy, straight A's, and I'm a waitress. They take the cops and no one even gives her a thank you.
Yeah, I do not know who he reminds me of.
He doesn't look familiar to me. I had no clue who he was.
I'm thinking like the guy from Bosch.
Titus Welliver?
Yeah.
I could see that.
So now they have 2 days to find them?
Yeah. They're supposed to rendezvous in 5 days, and it'll take 3 days to get there, which leaves them with 2 days left to do the actual search.
So we're going to have some coffee, and I have the menu right here. Is there anything else you'd like to order?
So this is what I'm talking about. Uhura is the one who comes over. She must have been doing some science duty at that time too, because she comes over and says we've got a planet capable of sustaining human life. So she's multitasking up there.
Yeah.
And there's the beauty, the full-size model.
That is, that's the one that's on its way to Ticonderoga?
Yes, it is. So the one thing that I do have a problem with this episode is that they borrow heavily from Doctor Who. Because when you see people entering the shuttle from the outside and then stepping inside, it's clearly bigger on the inside. It's got a little bit of a TARDIS problem.
Well, the steps come down, right? They come down to do they come down to the nacelle?
So they open up. You step up on this, yeah, kind of, but the floor doesn't go all the way to the bottom of the ship. Yeah.
So the floor would actually be at the bottom of the door height.
Just below it, yeah. And that's not a 6-foot door. Because you can see everybody crouches down on one knee to get in and out of the door. See, oh, there are those convenient panels located right at knee height.
When I first watched it, I thought he said boomer.
Oh, okay.
And I'm thinking, wow, what a coincidence.
Okay, boomer.
Well, no, that from Galactica. The wasn't Boomer the black guy on Galactica also?
Yes, he was.
So he's my favorite of the original Battlestar Galactica.
I was always more of a jolly guy myself.
So we got a guy with these chairs look awfully short too, don't they?
They do. And,
Are these like the pods from Men in Black where they had to take the test? Because he looks uncomfortable.
You are in a spaceship capable of atmospheric flight, and you're in a hard plastic chair without a seatbelt or a restraint of any kind. So there's no way that they could, based on the outside when they're standing next to it, there's no way they would be able to stand at full height inside this thing. And you can really get the scale later when McCoy and Spock are talking by the back engine.
And it looks a lot roomier on the inside.
Well, you know, the model itself, the outside full-scale model was, and this was kind of genius, was paid for by the AMT Corporation, the model corporation, in exchange for the rights
To sell it?
to sell it.
Wow.
They funded it, and it didn't cost NBC or Roddenberry a dime.
And who came up with the design?
It's a Matt Jeffries design that was handed off to them. Now, the original concept design, I'm just going to step away for a second.
Don't fall.
Ah! So this is when Eagle Moss was putting out their collection. The original concept was a lot more streamlined and aerodynamic.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So that
I love this design.
it's kind of like a Romulan warbird, and
We see designs coming back again and again and again. But yeah, I always thought this was a beauty design. The unused shuttlecraft concept.
now where did that come from?
There was a company called Eagle Moss that had a subscription service to buy replica starships, and they have gone out of business. I have a bunch of concept ones that I like that I never saw before. I have 2 variations on the Excelsior that were never produced, and a couple. I have the Shinzo from Discovery and the Hiawatha from Discovery, and a couple of other ones. But they're out of business. But there's now a new entity called Master Fans or Fan Sets or something like that. They've started with the license, and they just came out with the Titan A, the Enterprise F, and the upgraded Stargazer from Picard.
And what is that shuttle called? Is that
That's just this was the Matt Jeffries original concept shuttle is what they call that. And it's got 2 doors, one there, one there.
wow, they got some pretty cool, pretty neat stuff.
They do. They do. A lot of I think most of their existing inventory is gone. I have a really nice, and they actually did an XL size version of some ships. I got the XL Defiant and an XL Enterprise A. Yeah, they were high quality stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Never heard of that.
That's that DS9 I had that came from them. That full size DS9.
It was a 1-to-1 DS9. Wow.
Yeah, no, yeah, It's takes up
Full-
most of the South Bay now, but yeah, it was worth it.
So why do we have? He does this pose a lot in this episode.
Oh my God! Thank you for bringing it up. At least 3 times he does the Vulcan chicken, as I call it.
I thought it was like his superhero pose, like da-da-da.
Fuck, you don't have a cape like the commissioner. Do not pose like that.
What does that S on your chest mean, Spock? Yeah, it was. There was, for all the things I heard about how great this episode was, not that much.
Well, there's a lot to laugh at, but it's still entertaining. You have your bad episodes that you can laugh at, and then you have the so-so episodes that you can laugh at. I would put this in the so-so to good category. I love their phaser locker.
Yeah, it's like a bread drawer.
I was gonna say it's a night deposit box. When you're done with your phasers, you put them in here, you pull it out, it's gone like a mailbox. So
Yeah,
look, so now we're hunched down to get out the front door.
And I guess that's the, is that the roof?
Yeah, the roof. Yeah, so looking at him stepping out, there's no way he could stand up inside that craft.
Yeah, because his head would be up.
Through the roof.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, this is Little Shuttle, Big World. I do like the doors, though.
Yeah, because they had, was it the doors that had the normal door sound? And then
And
the
stairs did that.
yeah, the stairs did that special electronic sound, which was pretty neat. So now we're sending out, who are we sending out? 2 guys, right?
Wait, when McCoy said they'll be searching without instrumentation, did anyone else think of that scene in Airplane? They're flying on instruments. I just giggled out loud when I saw this.
So they'll be there for a very long time. I don't know how much food they brought with them or what. I mean, does Spock like have a different concept of what a long time is?
Or is he just hitting on him? Just saying, hey, we might be here for a long time. And just saying,
That's right. Yeah, last week, Jimmy, my man, and now it's...
Listen, eventually we're going to have to pair off. So I'm just logically trying to get ahead of this.
And how does it go to repopulate the species?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So which story did you enjoy more? Was it the on the ship stuff or on the planet stuff?
You know what? I would say for me they were equal because they were so different.
I just kept hoping Kirk would just haul off and knock this guy out. I mean, he was so annoying. He was such an asshole.
Yeah, this guy was good at playing an asshole.
I mean, he was always smirking. I get it. He's acting superior and thinks he has a leg up over Kirk. But yeah, I was just hoping Kirk would just turn around and just knock him to the floor.
And then Kirk is standing up to him saying, yeah, we got, it's about 24 hours left now.
Yeah.
And there we've pooped another shuttlecraft.
Yep. Then later we have a suppository shuttlecraft going. So, okay. Here's your proof, okay?
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way if he stood up the step, got inside, and tried to stand up. You can even see at its Spock's shoulder, right? So theoretically, that would be the back where the engines are. There's just no way.
Well, and I guess he just mentions it there. It takes more than logic to get out of this shuttlecraft.
I tend to think Scotty spent all his time on the floor on this episode. he couldn't stand.
He's got a bad back.
Yeah.
So he's trying to fix the engines to get them, but they realized that they don't have enough fuel, right?
Yep. You know what is kind of jarring about this? The controls on the shuttle also seem way different than the controls on the Starship. We don't have those nice jewel buttons. We have a lot of manual switches and toggles switches. So I don't know if that was done purposely or did the AMT Corporation just throw something together?
Yeah. Whatever they had in the back.
Mm-hmm. I did notice 2 bloopers during this episode. One was when I don't know if it was Latimer or the other guy that gets killed, but right after he gets off the shuttle, you can see his hand in the corner pushing the ramp back up.
Yeah. Going at the side.
What the hell? And then when they're taken off from the planet, very briefly, there's a shot of the front of the shuttle, and it shows the windows that they can't look out of when they're sitting.
Yeah.
But it showed you could see somebody or mannequin or somebody sitting there looking out the window, and I'm like, unless he's standing up.
I think that was CGI'd. Wait, did Scotty have a hole in his pants in that last picture?
Oh, right above lighting?
Yeah, right above lighting.
Or it might be his pocket. Inside pocket lining.
So they have to choose 3 people to stay behind because they have to lighten a load 500 pounds. And then Spock's like, I know who's number 1 who's I'm leaving behind.
So I had a problem with this.
What is that? McCoy's makeup?
Yeah.
His eyeshadow?
Yeah, maybe it's
very glittery.
Wouldn't Spock just say the 3 heaviest people have to stay behind? It almost seems like a no-brainer. And nobody thought to remove the seats.
Yeah.
They all could have sat crisscross applesauce on the floor and maybe reduced 150 pounds in seats there.
Now, is that door open and it's just
Green screen?
stage green outside? Or is that the planet's surface?
That's the hull. I think that's supposed to be the outer hull of the shuttlecraft. And there's our chief medical officer waxing poetically.
So this is their first contact with the carpet monsters.
And I must say, I found this annoying. Their sound effects for the carpet people, because I don't know about you guys, but my captions would say scraping against metal or scraping against leather, but yet they were the same sound, and the sound was very annoying.
Yeah.
And this is where they meet the
Hound of the Baskervilles.
yeah, or there's a guy on a bridge that says, what is your quest?
So clearly being attacked by Fred Flintstone.
Did he get a poorly thrown spear in the back?
He does. Did anyone also catch later on when Spock is running when they're throwing spears at him? that one of these spears accidentally takes a chunk out of the foam rock.
It just goes flying.
You know what I would almost say if it was thrown really hard, but it was like, it's the edge of a rock, and a whole piece of foam just breaks off.
So that's a pretty big spear to get in the back. Is this the guy that you say they cut that scene out?
Yeah, they altered the screen so you couldn't see, you know. And is Boma checking the oil?
And that is, I guess that, what is that, the front?
That's the back, because that's the landing strut. That one little piston comes out when you land.
That's the only one on the whole shuttle?
Mm-hmm, because the rest of it, I don't know why it's there, because theoretically, there's like flat saucers on those nacelles.
Right.
I don't know why they said, you know what, we need an extra one in the back in case it gets top heavy. I have no idea, but yeah, they threw that in there.
That's the trailer hitch.
And the brake light next to Spock, the center brake light there. Did you?
Yeah, the third brake light. Yep, that's where they got the idea.
That's how far. Yeah, that's how another Star Trek prediction came true. This guy's just shooting all over the place. And yeah, see this horrible layer of phony fog that was thrown in? Because now, here's the pole. There is the spear, and we cannot see Latimer laying there with a spear through his back. So they brought in this lovely layer of fog that just looks like it belongs there to cover the body on the floor.
And was that something that they did for the original episode? So this wasn't.
Yes, that was NBC censors. Yeah. And Spock appears to be standing on Latimer's back. Is it me, or does Boma look a little bit like Johnny Mathis?
Yes.
Yeah. It was a giant ape. Kind of.
You mean an ape who built and made spears? And you can see the blood all over the tip of that spear.
Yeah. I guess there was no way to cover that up, huh?
That would have been tough. Yeah.
And I don't know what he's talking about here.
He's looking down. I don't know. Spock, come on.
And this guy just hates. He just hates Spock. And I think Spock's problem was he was a little too logical. He tried to take everything through, and I guess that's what they brought up at the end, but that they did everything through logic and reason for Spock this episode. And that's why he almost got everybody killed.
But he realizes it. And to me, that's what salvages this episode.
Right.
The ending. Yep.
So is this where they say now who's the other guy that gets it? Is it the guy on the
Gaetano, yeah.
The guy on the left, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one that they say, Spock says, you stay here, we're going to go back.
Yeah. You stay
What was
here in
the
the
logic
fog with
in
the
that?
scary ape creatures, and we'll come and get you later.
Try and catch a spear. And then we have Kirk sitting on it like it's the captain's throne.
I swear to God, this looks like, page 72 of the 1969 Sears catalog. Like you got Ferris in the background, like lounging back there. You have Kirk like watching, the old TV.
So this guy, I don't believe him. I think he
relishes it.
Yeah, he relishes it with mustard.
The only thing he's missing is a Snidely Whiplash mustache to twirl. And like a top hat.
He needs that hat. What is it? Who's the guy that wears the hat on Penelope Pit Stop? The Paul Lynde. Remember the Paul Lynde character?
Oh, yes, yeah. What the hell was his name? I know who you're talking about. So wait. Kirk says transporters aren't working. Let's use overload power. Oh, you're the captain. Okay. I don't know what that's going to do.
Oh, so now they have 24 hours. So we better get moving along, and the sensors are slowly coming back, correct? Are they is there something with the quasar that is allowing it to, is it just dissipating?
I think the ion is dissipating. I think that's what they said.
They had technicians working on it, and they found they had turned quasar mode off. So as soon as they just changed that setting, everything came back online. Oh yeah, I forgot. The damn thing's got wings atop. It's not even that tall inside.
It's the height of the doors. Unless there's a 3-foot step down.
This thing you would have to get in and out of this thing like a Lamborghini. You have to go butt first and then swing your legs in.
Maybe that's why everybody's crouching down is so you think that it's a lot bigger than it is. So, don't walk around too much. Just stay crouched, and maybe people will, in the back of their mind, think it's regular size. Because that's where the doors are, and then there's the Scotty reaching into the floor.
Also, Spock doesn't ask if anybody wants to stay. Anybody wants to volunteer.
Right.
Maybe you start with that, and then you don't have to make a really bad decision.
And then we have Scotty's Tonka tools.
This is where they kind of lose me, when Spock doesn't even consider for a moment the concept of having to do the burial.
Yeah. And I don't know why would you bury him? I mean, I guess you have to leave him behind, but
well, I think for the weight, under normal circumstances, they would probably have taken him back.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the weight issue,
well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, like you guys have phasers. How long is it going to take to blow a 6-foot hole in the ground?
Or you can just set phasers to maximum and vaporize them.
Vaporize them, yeah. Then you could just scoop them up and take them back,
Yeah, Spock wasn't too nice in this episode. I think I don't know. Do you think it's one of those where they say, okay, this is your first command, you don't understand what you're doing, just be the tough guy and think, you think you're making the right choices.
Well, I think the pressure's definitely on. Sorry, Deb, didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, that's all right. I just think it's him it's a uncomfortable situation for him, so he reverts back to everything's logical.
And even as the show progresses and we get into the movies, Spock has repeatedly said that he doesn't want command. Star Trek 2, he says, on a training mission with cadets, I'm content to command the Enterprise, but other than that, it's not his forte. Wow, the only thing missing from those chairs is like the hairdryer attachment at the beauty parlor.
They're really uncomfortable looking. And then this one over here is like really reclined.
You see,
so now we have
behind a solid object.
We have the possibility of 5 people getting killed and only Scotty going back.
Scotty just closes the door, takes off.
So, what would the reasoning be to have McCoy go on this shuttlecraft to look at a quasar?
He could have been monitoring the crew to see any physiological changes when they enter the phenomenon.
So no reason whatsoever.
Well, no, he's with the guys who are going in, and he's watching the guys going in to see if they're affected. They all became cranky, didn't they? So he could put that in his report.
Well, I mean, wouldn't he become cranky also?
Yeah, but he's the only one with a medical license, so they're medically cranky as opposed to
Yeah.
And he's the only one that can make a medical diagnosis.
Yes. I'll have to ask my CMO what her opinion is on that later.
So that's the monster behind a shield, right?
I can barely make that out. It's a lot of
a leather shield.
Which, by the way, apparently deflected a phaser shot. Did anybody catch that?
Yeah.
Captain America his shield up. The phaser didn't go through the leather. It just, I like how they captioned "roar." Instead of putting growl or guttural noise, they actually spelt out "roar." Oh, you know what? That looks like the bear costume those guys in California just tried to use.
So did they kill one of them? They didn't actually kill any of them, though, right?
No, but I do like, I have to say, the size of the shield being made larger here when it landed to give you kind of a perspective of how big these guys actually were. Mm-hmm. That was very nicely done.
They're directly ahead of us, so you just stay here. We're going to go back. Right? Is this where they...
That's 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did Spock climb the wall? I couldn't figure. He climbed the wall, did nothing, and then came back down.
I think he was trying to see if when they shot the phasers, if he could see the cavemen running away or something. I don't know if he was trying to get a glimpse of them or see where they were going, trying to get above the fog or mist.
Yeah, he didn't want to be down in between them because then they would look like the Charlie's Angels silhouettes.
He wants the high ground.
Yeah, he's got the high ground. We all know how that goes. Mr. Gaetano, you're a nervous wreck. You stay here by yourself. And here's Boma telling him, relax, Gaetano. You're wearing a gold shirt, for God's sakes. Nothing's going to happen.
Oh, now Scotty has an idea. And this is where they take everybody's phasers and decide to use that as fuel. And what powers the phasers? Is it the same fuel that's in the engine?
It's a miniaturized dilithium matter antimatter reaction. So they might be pulling some kind of, they could be charging batteries from that. They don't say what the fuel is per se, but it's probably some kind of plasma. You know, the thing is, these shuttlecrafts weren't even warp capable. So I don't even know why they have nacelles. You notice the nacelles don't have the little red glowy things at the end. They look like solid rockets at the bottom.
Right. And wouldn't it need a deflector if it's going to have warp power?
Warp speed? Yeah. Now we're going on almost a day since Scotty's had any alcohol, so we're about to enter the DTs pretty badly.
I'll tell you, the shots of the Enterprise in this episode were really good.
Oh, they're beautiful, and especially on the green quasar background, it just makes everything pop. Samsonite, the next generation.
I was going to say they got their Amazon delivery. So Gaetano is here, and this is where he meets his end.
Doing his stop or my Spock will shoot pose.
And he can't climb the foam mountain. And then this was like one of those like dolly shots that came in to simulate the first person view of the carpet monsters.
Yes, a POV shot. YMCA. I got bad news for Gaetano. That's one of the females.
He doesn't look 9 feet.
Well, how can you tell? Everybody's crouching.
And then this is I think this is Gaetano. And then Spock's like, I think this is Gaetano too. So they're gonna take his phaser back. And Spock goes out for a stroll. I don't know, what is he thinking here?
It looks like he's looking for a place to pee in privacy.
So we have Gaetano on the rocks.
And then the arms are back. Vulcan chicken pose number 2. Well, I hope you're happy. This is what you get when you go out drinking with the boys.
A lot of these rock formations look like the Sorting Hat.
Yes, they do. Oh, wait, did you capture? Oh, no. Yeah, you can see the chunk came off right at the top of where Spock just was standing. Good capture. This thing keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
It does. It's Honey, I Shrunk the Shuttle. So now the windows are open. They were closed before when you couldn't see out of them.
Well, they want to let a little air in. There's no glass in those windows. That's why they close them, Debbie, when they fly. So here we are again, chewing out a superior officer.
And now there's no windows on the front.
Oh,
Well,
the
I think at one point he
inconsistency.
actually yells, "Close the windows," because we don't have the money to show any meaningful special effects. So let me just put things into perspective. This is a highly sophisticated space traveling vehicle that we assume is made with some kind of really good high-tech, dent-resistant, for lack of a better term, outside polymer. And yet this idiot with a rock is causing them to panic
A foam
inside.
rock at
He's got
that.
a rock. He's got a rock. Okay. These things can take an energy blast and you're worried about a rock.
This guy was pretty good. Does he ever come back in a later episode?
No, Boma does not come back. Actually, that's Don Marshall. I think he was actually one of the stars of Land of the Giants, the Irwin Allen show.
Mm-hmm. He's not. He looks like he could be the guy from the Planet of the Apes series.
The mutant in Beneath.
No, in the series.
Oh, in the series.
Yeah, I don't know.
He had a big TV career. He was in a lot of stuff. He may have been in that. We make hole in shuttle.
Rawr. I don't know what they're analyzing. With Scotty laying down like that. And then we have the start date of 28/23. So that would be, what year would that be? Like 23 something?
They haven't really locked down how the star dates convert yet, but when Kirk said he had 3 days, the star date went to like 28/21 to 28/24. So I have no idea how they're figuring this. Which would be really easy to say. It only takes us 3 days, and you're just making up numbers here. Could take a week. It was only 3 days.
Thought I read it somewhere. Star date 20. It says 2267 on Memory Alpha.
2267, which would somehow miraculously correspond with 1967. Okay.
So what is that? 300 years?
300 years.
But that's math, so we're going to skip
Yeah,
that.
oh, yeah.
Please.
Just one episode I'd like to get through without.
Well, there's too many numbers. And there apparently is a sensor section.
Must be next to the phaser control room we saw a couple of weeks ago.
So now they have just under 3 hours. And Kirk is refusing to leave, and he gets nasty with the superior. So everybody's in talkback mode.
It's the ionization. But this is how Kirk will handle every diplomat, bureaucrat, official representative of other planets, ambassadors in every episode to follow.
So now they want to plug in and electrocute the creatures. And
The same guy who didn't want to shoot them because it would be cruel is now frying them with thousands of volts of electricity.
now, is this taking from their battery power that Scotty is?
Yes. But they should be okay as long as they don't run the air conditioner.
Right. And unplug the refrigerator.
Yeah. Everybody, unplug your USB devices now.
So they sent these guys down to the planet too, right? And they came back, one dead and two injured.
Wouldn't it be funny if Kirk's like, which am I talking to? That's one of the... Yeah. So,
This is
get
one-
a big pen.
This is like a hostage tape. They couldn't put him on a set somewhere, like in the transporter room or in a room with lights and tubes or something.
So apparently the sensor, it must be a hallway, because he's only about 4 feet away from the sensor, and there's a wall about 1.5 feet behind him. So that's the one thing in Star Trek that always drove me crazy, is that whenever they did visual communication like this, it was just too perfect. And that's why he's the captain.
So they want to get to New Paris, and he's this guy's taken over now because his time is up, right?
Yes. Kirk is like, hey, I still have a shuttle out there. And, he's like, you're wasting time. Tell him to come back.
And I thought the ending was pretty neat, the way he's like, okay, everybody's back aboard. Let's just get out of here as slow as we can.
Typical Jim Kirk. He used the order against the guy who gave him the order.
So they're getting ready to take off, and then this is this the Columbus coming back?
Yep, that's the Columbus.
Columbia.
Again, Uhura doing her kind of best first officer, giving the information over.
And then space normal is school zone speed.
Yes. It's
Space
slower than
school-
impulse. It's
Space school zone.
yes. It's actually when you start to go forward, but you leave on the parking brake. So you're really good. He should have just said thrusters ahead. Really? We're going on thrusters?
So now we have 2 graves, right? Is that what they've dug up there?
Yep.
Apparently, they didn't even dig a hole. They just threw them and covered them with dirt.
Yeah, kind of like what they did with Kirk at the end of Generations, right? I mean, they just
Yeah, still, that rock pile should have been a lot bigger.
yeah.
So wait, Spock gets hit with a boulder, right? Which would probably shatter your leg and your hip easily. And they just roll it away, and he runs back to the shuttle.
Well, he kind of hopped a little bit.
That's acting.
So and then there she. I don't know what she's doing, but she just threw herself on her knees.
Yeah.
And there's a shuttle leaving over what is that, Italy?
I thought the same. That's wild. I thought the same thing when I looked at it.
And mini India.
All right, to me, this is the line of the episode. Because McCoy can just never let things go. He always has to get the last word.
He is like a constant ion field.
Yeah, terminal exposure.
So we have a zing button or a zing light.
Yeah, these are all nonsensical equations. Like,
And what is that? The
DN with sideways colon over a 9. I mean, that's gibberish.
and then down in the bottom we have a queer squared switch,
Oh my.
and then fuel jettison. You always want to put that one right in the middle where it can accidentally be hit at all times.
Get no cover on it. And it's the only one that's clearly labeled. It's not like FJ or, And then this is such an improvement over the original shots.
And we have the jewel, and this was like was this like that long pan over the control panel?
Yeah, it's kind of an overhead pan of the bridge. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't it go from one control panel to the other over to
No, it goes back to
Sulu's?
here, because he's detecting something and he's looking down for a really long time and then looks up and goes, "There's something on the screen," which is great because he was looking down and said, "There's something on the screen." So
Maybe on his screen, do they have screens that they look at?
no, he's got that thing that comes out of the console that he can look into. But yeah. So now we have the lateral line going across the planet.
There's your landing lights. And then they start burning up. And it looks like the shuttlecraft is smiling. That's a lot of smoke.
They should just open one of the windows in the front.
And
that's why she's in Starfleet. She's a scientist.
It's getting hot.
Maybe if you'd get off the floor.
So they fixed the transporters just in time. And they beam them off. And they beam up 5 persons.
Dramatic pause, and then she tells him, "Oh, they're fine." Yeah. What's amazing? He knows there were 7 people on there. 5 come back, including his 2 best friends. Doesn't ask for any clarification who came back.
And then this is where they he figures out, there's always possibilities. And they seem so distraught at the loss of 2 crew members.
Comrades, yes. That we get a naked gun level laughing clothes, for God's sakes. Maybe it's the ionization again. Who knows? But it wasn't that funny, guys.
And it was like that. That from Austin Powers. Yeah. When they just keep laughing because they laughed through the entire credits.
Possibly into the beginning of the next episode, they've been laughing so hard. So. Oh, come on, guys. We got to go get these plague medicine to the people who are suffering. Like, okay, do you guys realize you're on a mission here? So
what are your ratings on this one, Deb? 1 through 10.
Give it a 4. It was an interesting episode, but there was just so many boo-boos. It's just a 4.
I would give it a generous 7 because I'm a sucker for taking characters and putting them in situations that they're not normally in. What worked well. What didn't work really didn't work. And I think it was a pretty good balance. I think it might have been a more effective episode with better protagonists and not a bunch of aliens that look like, the Russian gymnastics team.
And then we have on Wikipedia, I mean, everybody is putting this episode is like, this is one of the top 10 sci-fi, name this one of the top 10 episodes for Spock. Collider ranked this 15th best episode of the series. I mean, is this a top 10 episode?
I think its reputation has grown over the years because this was really the first Spock-centric episode. And I think it marks a turning point where it goes from being Kirk featuring Spock to Kirk and Spock, which led to some problems on set with egos. But I think we also start to get a little development into what makes Spock tick, especially in the last 10 minutes of this episode, when you realize, yes, he's cold, yes, he's calculating, but there's something else going on there under the surface that I think he himself fights against, that giving into that gut instinct at the end is so out of character at this time, but it is something that we will see develop. And it's kind of like the starting of a plot point to introduce this concept of that repressed human half of Spock, which we will see explored throughout the rest of the series.
And probably next gen, right? In the unification.
Yes, and by the time we reach unification, we see a very different Spock who is very comfortable in his own skin. Which was great to see. And even beyond unification, we see more of a, like in Star Trek 6, I think we see a very, very human Spock, more so than ever. You know, the whole scene when he smacks the phaser out of Valeris's hand and is not afraid to show anger.
Right.
Just goes to show that he's reached that balance that he always seemed to be seeking.
Yeah, this episode really wasn't what I was expecting, you know, because everybody was saying, "Oh, the Galileo 7, that is one of the top episodes, and you know, it's my favorite or whatever." But I don't know if the carpet monsters took me out of it, or just the bad effects on the planet, because that was pretty tough to watch.
Sorting hat rocks.
Yeah, the sorting hat rocks, and yeah.
I think part of what I think a lot of people have a problem with is, the monsters were terrible. But by the time it was in the can, what could they do except, fog them out? The planet definitely could have been better. But these were some of the challenges that they always had. As each progressive episode, the budget was getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, I think if you were to redo this episode today, with today's effects and today's budget, I think it would be in a top 5 episodes of Star Trek. The story is good. The story's there. The execution was just difficult.
So if they did this episode on like a retelling on Strange New Worlds, I think it could be at least a decent watchable.
Yeah, because you would, what they would be able to do with the enemy out there, to see them, to make them more of a threat than people in the fog, wearing, as you said, carpet. I think that would raise the stakes. You're seeing an enemy they don't want you to see because they look stupid. And they're also I think the fact that they're being beaten by a bunch of cavemen, essentially, is a little concerning too. You guys couldn't outthink them. You couldn't just climb a really high hill and shoot down at them, and or as we've seen, and I don't think we've seen it yet. The damn phaser has a wide field stun setting. You could have taken, and just knocked them all down.
I think again, hindsight, and this is having watched it and coming up with ideas and spitballing and stuff like that. I think this episode might have been a little bit better if you build the tension when they get to the planet by, the phasers don't work because of the ionic storm, and they're slowly coming back, and they, towards the end, when they finally get the use of the phasers back, Scotty wants them, and that's where Scotty comes up with the idea to put them, and use them as the fuel instead of using them to fight. But again, like I said, that's 2020. That's, Monday morning quarterbacking.
Well, remember, they, 1960s TV, they wanted action, they wanted laser beams. And that's kind of what they had to deliver each week. So if it was done today, they would totally go that route. But remember, the previous week, their phasers weren't working. So how many times can you get away with the phasers not working?
About as many times as there's a holodeck mishap.
Well, that stands out as a trope. It becomes a trope after a while.
Yeah.
And they really should just shut those things down. I always, when I think of the holodeck, I always think of Anchorman and Brick Tamlin. So, Brick, are you going back to the holodeck? Oh, no, too many people died last year. Yeah. It seemed like a thing we should do is have the ability to turn off the safety protocols.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe it would require more than one person to authorize shutting those off?
Or like in Picard, he just hits the button underneath the bar, that you can accidentally hit when you're filling your glass with ice. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know. I would give this one maybe a 4 or a 5. What is next week? The next week is the Squire.
The Squire of
Gotham.
And now, how is that one? What do you remember of that one?
Harpsichord music.
Is this one that's going to take me 4 days to watch because I fall asleep?
You might see it from a different perspective because you're a next gen guy. And again, Roddenberry's baby, we come back in next gen to this concept, but executed way better. But again, you're copying from yourself at this point. So I think we can draw a lot of interesting parallels.
So is this the Q episode, basically, of the original series?
Spoiler
Q.1.
alert, yeah.
Prelude.
Let's say not a capital Q. Q with a small Q.
With a 3 and 2 dots over a lowercase 9.
Yeah, and then we'll just put a toggle switch on it. Definitely starts the concept of an all-powerful, omnipotent, godlike creature that, of course, Roddenberry was obsessed with, even though he didn't believe in God, and the consequences thereof. And, going forward, we do see that there's been a lot of things in the comics and in the books where they try and directly connect the dots between Trelane and Q.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally think they are very different entities. Some people would argue me on that fact, especially when you watch the episode and see what's going on. But it's interesting because whereas Q is for lack of a better term, a spoiled man-child, Trelane is more of a nuisance child. So their motivations are very different.
Mhm.
Q has an agenda when he screws around with humanity, whereas Trelane is just a wild cannon.
He's the Bart Simpson.
In a lot of ways, yeah. Yeah, you nailed it without even watching the episode. So, yeah, it's one that I've enjoyed in the past. Over the years, though, it's not one that I necessarily seek out. But pretty good. Pretty good.
All right. Well, I'll probably start watching that next week. Deb, what do you have coming up? Anything special?
Over at Feast of Fandoms, we have Geek Gauntlet on Saturday. Monday, we are supposed to cover Venom on MCU Monday. I gotta go see that this weekend. So.
You better hurry. I think it's going to be streaming soon.
And then Wednesday, we have an episode of War of the Stars dropping. Thursday, Cantina Happy Hour. We're talking about Hondo. My favorite.
All right. This week was this week that you guys just did Tarkin, right?
Yes. Yeah, we did Tarkin yesterday, and next week is Hondo, and then the week after that will be Skeleton Crew starting up.
All right, Marty, what do you got coming up other than shoulder exercises?
Well, we are having a big celebration tomorrow for a little early for my grandmother's 100th birthday.
Wow.
Her actual birthday is going to be on Thanksgiving Day. Thank you. So we are celebrating a little early so people are not having to travel after the holiday or on the holiday. We're having 139 people, mostly all family.
At your house?
No. My aunts and uncle and my brother and I rented a place, and it basically turned into a wedding at this point. So we've got people coming from all over the U.S. It's really nice. So yeah, I'll be posting videos and pictures from that. And
Nice.
Stuff. My sister-in-law works for the county. She got it declared Francis Nolan Day. We got an official proclamation. So we're going to see if somebody from the county can be there tomorrow, and we might have News 12 there. So we'll see.
Wow! All right, that sounds.
Yeah, it's going to be something, that's for sure.
That's pretty special.
Yeah.
And she's still 100% with it, and lives by herself, and still drives. But more on that later. But yeah, very independent. She's my hero. I hope in the next 5 years I'm as independent and still on the go as she is. So.
Yeah. Well, stop tripping over your own feet, and you should be okay.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so next week, Squire of Gothos, maybe. I'm going to put it out there right now. I might be traveling to North Lake. Grandbaby number 2 is coming on Tuesday. Actually, number 3, but number 2 in Texas, so I can visit. And we might be spending a lot of time over there, but we should be here for Friday. Can't wait.
How far is that from you?
Everything is an hour and a half.
Okay. So kind of the nexus of the universe.
Yeah.
Like first and first.
Yeah, no, it's an hour and a half. And
Okay.
It's a drive that I've made so many times. It's one of those where you can do it with your eyes closed. So I'll probably.
I assume most people in Texas did.
Yeah.
I drove down there for 2 weeks.
Yeah, you know what? You should have hit me up when you were down here.
I literally had I was booked in that thing from 8 in the morning till 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. 2 weeks solid. But I love Texas.
Yeah, you guys got to come here.
Well, listen, we're looking for new vacation destinations, so it's on my list.
Oh, come on down. Plenty of room. A lot of wide open spaces.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
That's it. We will give Grandma Nolan our best. We will see you guys next week. Have a great week. Thanks for tuning in to the Geek and I, and we just broke 7,000.
Whoa! All right.
7,000 subs, and everybody watches for like 35 seconds. So
that's great. We double that. We get them up to 1:10.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we got to do. Just have 35-second episodes.
You know what? I think we might. I get more views on the shorts that I turned it into.
You're doing short treks too now.
Yeah. I saw. You know what? I'm gonna steal that. And
Really
then next
short.
week, so tune in next week for Federation Friday. It is Wardrobe Malfunction, Squire of Gothos.
35-second edition.
35 seconds long. We'll see if you can make it.
So,
Alrighty.
You know what? If you do screen caps next week to keep with the wardrobe malfunction, just randomly blur out parts from the episode. So
Yeah. Like,
yeah, you could just be like, "Hey, yeah, look, her top fell off," and then we blur out the top.
yeah, like what is
Black bars across everything.
unnecessary censorship?
No, I think we ended that last week.
Yeah. All right, guys. We will see you next week. Deb, we'll see you on the Feast of Fandoms. Marty, have a great time at the party.
Thank you.
And we look forward to all of you out there. Thanks for subscribing. I know you don't like it, and I know you don't share it, and whatever. I know you don't watch. I don't know how we got 7,000 subs, but we really appreciate it, and we will talk to you all again very, very soon.
Peace out.
Peace out. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Go watch Jake Paul get his brain smacked.